By any objective measure, China is crushing the US in the business of solar energy. According to the International Energy Agency (IEA), China had installed 78 gigawatts GW of solar capacity by the end of 2016, and after a torrid installation pace in 2017 it may exit this year with around 123 gigawatts, or enough to power the consumption of 20.2 million US homes. The US ended 2016 with 40 gigawatts of solar installed and is expected to install about 12 gigawatts this year for around 52 gigawatts by year-end. On the manufacturing side, there's no question China has a massive lead over the US, particularly after SunEva and SolarWorld, two of the biggest solar manufacturers in the US, went bankrupt earlier this year. The problem for the US is, it may be hard to ever catch up to China's solar domination. Image source: Getty Images. China's domination in solar manufacturing. China and Chinese companies are by far the biggest solar manufacturers in the world. Canadian Solar NASDAQ CSIQ, Jinko Solar NYSE JKS, YA Solar NASDAQ JASO, and Hanheq Cells NASDAQ HQCN are among the largest solar module suppliers in the world and are publicly traded in the US. Trina Solar, LONGi, and GCL Poly are also major manufacturers with operations in China, but they're private and not traded in the US. The public companies give an illustration of how they fund expansion. You can see below the Canadian Solar, Jinko Solar, YA Solar, and Hanheq Cells all have over $600 million of short-term debt and notes payable. They've literally funded billions of dollars in manufacturing expansion with short-term debt. Company short-term debt and notes payable: Canadian Solar $3 billion, Jinko Solar $1.6 billion, YA Solar $609 million, Hanheq Cells $808 million. Source: company earnings releases. This wouldn't be possible without state-run banks in China handing out loans. These loans aren't earned with profits from operations, which are almost non-existent, but are rather used as a way to increase China's manufacturing expansion and jobs. The US government could give the industry similar support, but it doesn't. Why China builds so many solar power plants? Solar power plant construction is driven by developers knowing where they're going to sell energy from the plant long-term and how much they'll be paid. In the US, developers sign agreements with utilities, businesses, or consumers to back the construction of a plant. This means there have to be thousands of agreements signed each year to keep the solar industry's installers working. China has instituted a feed-in tariff and a program called Top Runner, which are going to drive installations in 2017. The feed-in tariff rate of 10 cents to 13 cents per kilowatt-hour kWh is higher than recent contracts signed in the US for less than 5 cents per kilowatt-hour, so it's easy to understand why developers are building as much as possible. Top Runner is another feed-in tariff program for high-efficiency solar cells that China hopes will drive up to 10 gigawatts of installations in 2017 alone. Feed-in tariffs can be a blunt instrument for installing solar because they take into account regional needs for energy but drive a lot of installations very quickly. An underappreciated factor driving China's solar boom is the growth in China itself. China's electricity demand jumped 5%, or about 281 terawatt-hours TWh, in 2016, enough to power 25 million US homes. Since 2007, US electricity consumption is down 78 terawatt-hours per year. When a country's electricity consumption is growing, it needs new power plants. Since solar is cost competitive, it makes sense that a large percentage of its new power plants are solar. The US doesn't need new power plants, meaning each large plant built has to replace an old one. That makes the growth of the solar industry harder in the US versus China. China is going to continue dominating solar energy. These trends in solar aren't going to change anytime soon. China has made the solar industry a priority and is giving government support to develop manufacturing and push for solar power plant installations. I don't see the US doing the same, which will keep the US behind China in the race to dominate solar energy.